Today we're having a sort of an unusual episode because I have a guest host, which is my marketing assistant, Rian Kasner, who actually booked our speaker today, or a guest for the podcast, who happened to be her cousin, Rian. Hi, Rian.
Hi.
Hi. Super excited to get to meet you. Well,
hello, Rian. Nice to see you.
Hey, Anna. Been a while.
I know.
I'll relate on Anna's help today with some questions because she told me a little bit about what you do and what kind of person you are, and apparently she knows much more about you than I would ever learn from the internet. So I bet she's gonna have some interesting questions for you. Would you mind telling a little bit about yourself and how did you become an artist?
Okay, well, I am 22 years old and I'm about to graduate from Southern Utah University. So that's where I'm currently located. I have been studying art for 4 years in the graphic design program here at school. But I really got into murals about 2 years ago, and that's what I do now. I'm a traveling muralist, and so I'm trying to get a mural in all 50 states right now. Yeah. So I've done about 15 murals so far in my career, and I've got a bunch in the horizon. And yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing and how long I've been doing it.
I remember when you actually started your first mural, it was in the weight room, right? At SUU.
Yeah. So I was, I'm originally from Washington State, and I was recruited to play soccer here at Southern Utah University. So I was one of the only players who was studying graphic design, and my weight training coach asked if I could design a mural for the weight room at school, and I don't know why, but I said, I'll paint it for you. And it was mostly because we needed volunteer hours for soccer. And I was like, this could be fun. So that first mural was like a volunteer mural, and I had never done anything that big ever. And it was so fun.
How big was that?
It was about, I think if I remember correctly, I think it was 12 feet in length and 8 feet in height. So looking at it now, it's not very large compared to what I do. But at the time, it was like, I'm not even a painter, let alone a muralist. So it was just it felt so big at the time.
So I have a question. How do you choose in what city in each state you're going to do the mural and how you design them? Do you apply to some kind of a public art programs, or you just, make connections, or you just go to the city that you always wanted to visit and I want to do a mural here?
Well, I'd say I'm still pretty at the start of my career. And so I've kind of just been, I wouldn't say stuck, but just kind of mostly located in Cedar City, Utah, because that's where my college is right now. I've gotten a lot of flexibility with COVID, actually, because we've had online school. And so I've been able to kind of go more towards northern Utah and stuff. So most of my murals have been in Utah. And it's all kind of been through networking and word of mouth, or through social media, actually. And I haven't reached out to people for projects in a while. It's mostly been people asking me, hey, are you available? And it's been really exciting and really cool. But kind of the plan for the future is I'd like to kind of have almost like a mobile, I want a van so I can kind of travel to whatever city I want and then just kind of say, hey, anybody here want a mural? And I got you. So
I know we met, I think we went to Anthem in Puyallup. It's a very small, cute little local coffee shop that we like to go to. And Rian and I, since she's in a different state, anytime she's visiting her parents or our whole family, we get to see each other. It's rare when we get to see each other, but when we do, we love to catch up. But she was telling me that it was state parks, right, that you would want to go to and create murals for them. Was that, or...
Yeah, that was kind of more before I was really getting into murals, I'd say. And it was more, I was admiring an artist who was creating a poster for state parks, and they were traveling to every national park and doing a poster for them. I've always wanted to be a traveling artist. So I kind of had the idea that I wanted to visit all of the national parks and maybe create something artistic for them, because I do have a graphic design background and I use that a lot for the designs of my murals. They come from my graphic design studies. So at the time I was like, I can do graphic arts for national parks. I think that would be awesome. So, but since then it's kind of morphed. It's morphed into mural stuff. So, yeah.
So what's your main subject right now?
Murals. That's my title. I'm a muralist, and I don't do much graphic design work anymore.
I mean, any themes for your murals or?
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. So when I get hired by businesses, a lot of times they want something to do with their logo, and so, but I'm that's kind of where I started, but now I'm kind of transitioning into more of like doing my own art on walls, and I'm kind of getting hired to do creative work and kind of what I want to do on walls, which has been really exciting. And so what I tend to kind of lean towards, I really like, I'm also a photographer, and so I like to incorporate my photography into my mural designs. And I'd say the main theme I stick to is LGBTQ stuff, and lots of gay murals and stuff like that. So it's near and dear to my heart. And so I like to kind of stick to that kind of a theme when it comes to just like a free creative wall.
I think it's been really cool to watch you just grow and slowly become the person that you are today. You know, I just want to applaud you for that, because as the older cousin, I just like to, it's so fun to watch you grow. And like, you went from, you know, you did sketches. Like I remember you were very artistic as a kid, and like I just want to applaud you. And then you're incorporating your personality into your murals today. I kind of wanted to talk about your See Us mural. I thought I was so impressed. Can you talk more a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to verbally explain it. It's kind of hard to comprehend though without a visual. But
I saw it on your Instagram.
Oh, you did see it?
Yeah, okay. I saw it. I was very impressed too. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. So in essence, it's an installation project. It's actually currently in the Southern Utah Museum of Arts right now until April 30th. And it's got 4 different murals that come together when you look at it in the right spot. But if you're not looking at that spot, you won't. It just looks like an abstract bunch of sticks. And basically what it is it's 4 portraits of LGBT individuals. And actually I included a self-portrait as well. And it tells the story of the coming out process. And the first portrait starts as pretty like colorless and desolate, and kind of representing like isolation and all that stuff. And then as you walk counterclockwise around the piece, the portraits become brighter and happier in subject matter. And then the last portrait is just a beautiful queer individual who is just like prideful, and pride is what it kind of comes down to. And the project is called See Us because a lot of people don't really understand the coming out process if you never had to go through it. And so I just kind of want people to really think about like how hard it is to kind of come to terms with who you are in a society that doesn't really, accept it, in totality, and kind of really teach it or show that it can be something that is okay. And so it's called See Us, and you can only see the portraits if you stand in the right spot. So it's an interactive piece, and I like that about it.
That's amazing, and we will make sure to include the photos. If you can send us some photos for the blog post. Yeah, because we'll post an adjacent blog post with every podcast episode. That would be amazing.
Yeah, totally. There's also a video that kind of shows the movie.
Oh yeah, that would be great. That would be great. And I assume you as an artist expressed your own experience with the coming out process, right?
Yeah, I think that CS piece really like kind of was from my experience, but also like it's an experience that almost all of us have to kind of go through to get to where we are in the world. So yeah.
How do you think what needs to change in the world to kind of change that experience for LGBTQ people?
That's a big question.
I know.
Yeah.
We've got time.
We've got time. I think the biggest thing is just that society kind of teaches us that it's just like, you're a boy or you're a girl and you only like boys or you can only like girls. And that's kind of just all we're taught from a young age. And so LGBT individuals are very, I think, I don't know. For my personal experience, I can't speak for everyone, of course, but my personal experience, I didn't really realize that it could be okay to not fall into those categories until high school, really. And I always just kind of thought, why don't I like boys? And and it just kind of, I think, if maybe even in the school system or just in just like natural things like television and stuff, including LGBTQ individuals and representing them in a way that's not different or weird or outside the norm, I think that is a big step. And I think we're already, as a society, moving towards that. You can look at that a lot in the media, but I think it kind of comes down to more of like at schools and in households, and not really throwing on these binaries of like, this is all there is. There's other options.
So you grew up in Washington State. We're a very progressive, very liberal state, and then you moved to Utah, which that's a shift. That is a definite shift. How have you adjusted to that? And when you publicly came out, you were in Utah. So I just want to know, what's the difference, I guess, between being part of the LGBTQ plus community in Washington than it is in Utah? And how have you adjusted to that? Or like what, I guess I'm curious to know what it's like, I guess, in Utah.
Well, it's really fascinating for me because so I came to Utah my freshman year of college, and nobody here knew who I was. So I didn't come out at all in high school. I didn't tell like a single soul. I had come to terms to it by high school, but I didn't tell anyone. And then when I went to college, I was like, cool, no one has any preconceived ideas of who I am. And so I'm just going to exist. And if people ask me, I will tell them, yes, I like women, but otherwise people can just assume. And so when I did end up getting my first girlfriend in freshman year, nobody was surprised because no one had any preconceived ideas of who I was. So I never formally came out in college. I just existed and was who I was. And so I've never really lived in Washington as an openly queer person because I've been in Utah since high school, and I'm still here. So, but there is a big difference, I'd say, culturally in Utah versus in Washington, because like you said, Washington is a little bit more progressive and more accepting. And I see it a lot here. A lot of my queer friends struggle with the religion aspect in Utah, referring to LDS and whatnot. And that's a really big struggle that I'm thankful I never had to ever kind of grow up around or with, because it makes it 10 times harder. Utah is the leading state for LGBTQ suicides in the youth. And most of that is kind of, I believe personally, it's because of the religion and how much it's here and how much it kind of like hurts the youth, because they really just don't accept it at all. So I can't really personally say like what's the difference between living as openly queer in Washington versus Utah, because I never really lived in Washington as an openly queer person, but I can see the difference when I talk to my peers about it. Yeah.
Well, wow. And I really hope that your work, CS, is a sign that the society in Utah is going to shift and embrace the LGBTQ community. So you can be proud of yourself. You are actually making a huge statement somewhere where people are not quite ready for it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You're changing. You are a part of a cultural change. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I've seen murals like you've taken pictures of them on the street, and I have a feeling, are they like open to the public, or not on the street, but they're outside, a lot of outdoor, like the Live Freely one. Mm-hmm. Is that one, can the public see that, or if there are people walking by? See, that's
most definitely. Yeah. That one's pretty cool because it's on it's right off of Main Street in American Fork, Utah, which is a super busy road. The whole time I was painting, cars are just driving by me the whole time. So it's super publicly there. Everybody can see it if they so desire. So
Yeah.
I have a question about your process.
go for it.
Well, a few questions kind of combined in one. First, you mentioned that you are incorporating your photography into your designs, and I wanted to hear about how you actually do that. And I'm super curious about the whole process. I've never done mural myself. I volunteered once with the organization here in San Diego who's doing murals at schools. Um, they've been on our podcast. I don't know, Anna, if you have listened to that episode yet. And I really wish someday design and make a mural by myself, but I just saw that this is like, especially the huge ones, it's a lot of work. So how do you technically do that, and do you have help?
So my most recent mural was the first mural I ever got some help on, and the company who hired me offered to give me some youth artists that were just in town, and they were like, we have them available if you want, and I said sure. And so I got 2 kids for 2 hours each day, and the wall was super textured, so I had them fill in a lot of like the big spaces of color, and then I went in and cleaned up all the edges and stuff. So that was the first mural I ever had help on, and it was so nice. It really just like helped me finish that way faster than I would have done solo. But every mural before that, I've only painted by myself, and it does take quite a long time. But I don't know. I feel like when it's meditative to me. So I just kind of get lost and get in the zone, and I just kind of go. And so I'm known to paint between 8 to 14 hours in a day.
8 to 14 hours.
Yeah. 4 or 5 days in a row. Like I just love it. So it's super fun. But the process itself, I think, isn't for everybody, because if you don't want to paint for 8 hours, you're not going to paint for 8 hours, you know? And so, so are you looking to kind of learn more about the design process itself or the painting process? Because I do see them as 2 separate.
Yeah, well, let's start with design process and then with painting process, because with painting, I was always curious, like, how do you translate your design into bigger scale? You probably have some kind of a projector or something like that. But I do hear about your design process, especially the way you incorporate your photography.
Yeah, totally. So usually throughout the design process, I always question if I'm good at designing. I always
welcome to the club.
I think a lot of artists kind of go through that where you're just like, well, I've got these ideas, but none of them are really working. But I just kind of, I always start with the sketchbook and just kind of sketch out thoughts and stuff. And then I translate those over to the computer. I am a big fan of Adobe Illustrator. That's what I use for everything, really. A little bit of Photoshop, but mostly Illustrator. And I have a lot of pictures. I've taken a lot of portraits. And so I tend to use portraits that I've already taken, or I'll seek out people to take portraits for a specific project. And then it's just, I kind of bring the picture into Illustrator, and then I kind of translate it over to like a color blocked version of it. So almost like a flat version that doesn't include shading. And then I don't know, I decide on the colors that work best and the shape that works best depending on the figure and whatnot. And then just kind of pull those in and make the designs. But I usually come up with a couple different mock-ups to show the client. And then they have options to pick through, but I always try to explain which one I like the best for what reasons and try to sway them towards that way. And I always take a picture of the blank wall before I get started. And then once I have a design, I will do like a photoshopped mock-up so the client could see what it'll look like on the wall when it's done. And that helps so much. Like you can just kind of show a flat version, but the client usually can't visualize it. And so putting it up on that wall really like helps a lot, helps sell the process, I'd say.
I totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And as for like the transferring onto the wall, I do use a projector often to kind of get the basic shapes and outlines and stuff. And then I sketch it on. I use either a pencil or a Sharpie usually. And those seem to work great for me. They don't wash away if it rains or something. Because I know a lot of muralists like to use chalk, but on really big walls, if it were to rain someday, that chalk's just going to go away. And so pencil stays pretty good actually on flat walls. And then going from there, it's just a matter of like using my reference of the design and painting the colors that I've chosen and stuff. And that's my favorite part, just the painting and just like zoning out and just doing my thing, meditating in a way.
Oh, amazing. Anna, do you have any other questions? Because I do, but I want to give you a chance to.
I just, gosh, I'm just every day that you post something like new art that you do, it's just amazing. Like I can't believe like how much you've grown. I've said this so many times. I can't believe it. But I guess like you being a student athlete, and I mean, that must be hard going from a student athlete to now a muralist. Like what was that process like? And are there any similarities that you have with soccer and art? Like, were they both very like therapeutic for you, or just something to keep you busy? What was that process like?
Do you still play soccer, by the way?
No, I don't anymore.
Okay.
So I'd say they're not the same in the sense of like the mind, because the soccer was very rigorous and very hard. I've been playing since I was 4. That was just like my whole life for so long. And I actually moved to Louisiana my junior year of college, chasing a soccer opportunity. And I had the best season of my career over there. It was really awesome. I played goalkeeper, and best season of my whole career, my whole life, I'd say. But I wasn't satisfied with the school and the education I was getting at that school. I really preferred the arts program here at SUU. And so I had to kind of make a decision. Am I going to continue this soccer dream where I was going to try to like go play overseas somewhere and do all that? Or am I going to pay attention to my education and get something out of it? And so it was a tough decision. And I had only done the one mural. I didn't think this was going to be a thing. So I don't even know what I want to do with my life. So I ended up deciding to be done with soccer, ended on that high career, and then come back to Utah to finish my school. So it's really crazy though, because like I decided to quit the team and be done. And then like within a week, I had to finish the semester over there. But I had somebody on the Louisiana campus reach out to me and say, "Hey, I saw your mural that you did in Utah. Will you do one for the church here?" And I was like, well, that was fun. Sure. So I always say I kind of accidentally fell into becoming a muralist, because it was just like, oh yeah, it was fun. Let's do it again. And then after I did that mural, another church reached out and said, can we have one? And so I did 2 murals over in Louisiana. And then I moved back to Utah, and I was like, let's keep doing this. Let's keep finding people to like paint for. And then I ended up reaching out to an LGBT organization here in Utah called Encircle. And they were building a new location. And I was like, I paint murals. You want a mural? And so, yeah, so they hired me. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And so it was almost like as soon as soccer ended, the murals began. And so I never had that like period of, oh no, what am I doing? Because the murals just kind of took off, and they kept taking off. The snowball is continuing to roll. And so murals are so different than soccer. I'd say like time-wise, I'm spending as much time painting and designing and working, doing murals that I did playing soccer. But mentally, they're totally different. And although I do feel like you need to be mentally strong to do these murals and deal with clients and do all that stuff, it's definitely a different mental toughness than it was for soccer. And I love soccer and I do miss playing, but I'm so grateful and so happy with where my life is right now that I have no regrets with any of it. So
it's amazing.
It's amazing how the universe is guiding us sometimes, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you. Cool. Imagine that you have graduated.
Cool.
You got your van. Like
okay.
A tiny house on wheels.
Yeah.
What would be the first place you would want to go and do the mural?
Oh, that's a tough question, I'd say.
If you are to choose, like you can choose anyone.
Choose anywhere in the States?
Yes.
Oh boy. I don't, that's really hard. I think I'd want to maybe start in Colorado, because I love Utah and I love like the geography here so much, and Colorado is very similar. And so I think I'd want to stay in this area and maybe look at Colorado or Arizona, so that I still have those beautiful hiking joints that I could go to and scenery. And then honestly, it would also depend on the year, like what time of year it is, because that will determine where I want to park my van. So, but I think Colorado would be like next on the list. Yeah.
Do you have like a goal? Is there like a specific place that you're like, I want to create a mural there? Is there? Yeah.
Like a dream project.
Yeah.
Well, my dream project would be to get just like a giant wall in a big city. I don't really have a preference on which city, but like a huge wall. That's just all me, you know? And so that's like the dream project, I'd say. But I don't have like destinations specifically that I'm like, gotta get there. It's more just like, I want to see states I've never been to, and I want to go to all these places. So wherever I can find a wall to paint, then I'll just go there, and it's going to be an awesome experience either way. So there's no destination goal. It's more just kind of like an experience goal, I'd say.
I think this might be a good place to ask you two final questions. And
Okay.
those are kind of a quintessential questions of our podcast, which is, in your personal opinion or in your personal experience, what it is, how to enjoy being an artist, and how to succeed as an artist. How do you think about that?
Oh boy. Well, how to enjoy being an artist, I think make art that you enjoy, you know. Even if you're working with clients and they're having you do special specifications or whatnot, make sure you're enjoying it either way, you know. Don't pick up a client that you don't want to work for. And this is more, I guess, coming from a freelance perspective, because that's what I do. But say no to the things you don't want to do. You know, even if money's tight, you're not going to enjoy it. And so do art that you like to do. As for like being successful as an artist, I think your greatest trait for that is just having personality and being able to talk to people. I've networked a lot just by being friends with people and letting them know that I paint murals, or just walking into businesses and giving them my card. And that's how I've kind of just like grown my network, I'd say. And so I think just being a personable person and being willing to talk to people and not being that like shy, introverted artist, even if you are, you kind of have to fake it, I think, until you make it, because
It's tough, though.
it is tough. I think it's so tough, and it's scary. I know it's scary, but in the grand scheme of things, even if it goes bad, you'll probably never see that client again. So might as well try. And so, yeah, I think just like to be successful, you got to show your art off, and you've got to be open about it and share it and talk to people. So
I applaud you for that.
Yeah. Because I mean, I know for myself, it is much easier for me as the process of reaching out to artists and talking to them about what they enjoy doing and their passions, and bringing them on a podcast is much more easy than going out there and selling myself to the customers. So I don't know what it's about that process, but
it's so
really
hard. It's so hard. I think it's because like we feel selfish about it. Like, hey, look at me, look at my stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But show off your stuff. I think social media is a great asset that people didn't have even just a few years ago. And so have a social media account. It doesn't matter how many followers you have, just post your art and reach out to people. Literally cold emails, send them all the time. I just sent like 100 last week, and I feel like no one's going to respond to me. But it just takes the one client that's just going to like throw you into the water, and it's going to get you that attention that you need to keep going with it. So yeah, I'd say just like selfishly display yourself.
Oh, that's a great advice. Yeah. I was going to ask you if you have any advice for the young artists, but I think that's a great advice.
Yeah, that would be my advice. I think especially young artists, like make sure you have social media, because that's how you kind of get seen these days. I wouldn't have become a muralist if the Louisiana client didn't see my social media. So have it, whether you have followers or not, it doesn't matter. You'll get jobs.
I'm now motivated.
Great.
You've inspired me, Ryan, always.
Yeah, I'm excited to continue following your career. I mean, you're an amazing young artist, and you have achieved already what a lot of us are, trying to do for years. And
Yeah.
I do believe that it shows that you are on the right path in your life, and you have that intuition to follow the guidance from the universe or your gut, whatever it is that is guiding you. I think you are on the right path. And yeah, your work is really amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. And
yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
And kudos to you for shifting the cultural perspectives in the States. Yeah, and helping it LGBTQ community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited about this. So
I'm excited for you.
Thank you for being in the art scene.